Name the player who needs to step up most in the second half. That's not even a question. That's a command. Name the player who needs to step up the most in the second half.
You've been real kind of bossy the last couple of shows, I noticed. But the player that needs to step up most in the second half is you talked about what are the 49ers going to do differently? How are they going to turn this around? A couple years ago, you said it was Deebo Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
I think that player this year also could and should be Deebo Samuel. One thing that's happened to Deebo Samuel since Christian McCaffrey has gotten here is his play has been sporadic at best, and for the most part just hasn't. He's been almost non-existent in a big chunk of these games. I think Deebo Samuel, coming off of some missed weeks, getting fresh legs, getting reinvigorated, I think he's the one that needs to step it up the most. He's getting paid a ton of money. He's also the one that's out here talking the most trash. He has to be the reason that these 49ers turn it around offensively. I expect that to be him. So I'm going to say Deebo Samuel, mainly because he's talked the most and hasn't played.
Okay, I like that one a lot. I mean, I was going to say Brock Purdy, but I almost feel like he needs to do less. Like, stop trying. You're not that guy. You're trying to step up and do too much in the fourth quarter, and that's kind of the root of the problem. So I don't know if he even can step up. This might just be him. We're talking about people who have more to give, and Debo's one of them. I think on defense, like, how about Nicholas Bosa? No. How about Nick Bosa? He's got all kind of excuses. Ball's coming out. Like, defend the run better. Start there. Set the edge. You gave up that touchdown run, Joe Mixon. I mean, that was you. How about you set the run better? You set the standard of run defense for your DNs. And then, I don't know, like, earn that contract. He'd be one. I mean, I could say Talanoa Hufanga or Dre Greenlaw, and they need to step up too, obviously. Talanoa Hufanga is not the player he was last year, and Dre Greenlaw looks hurt. But
Charvarius Ward.
Bosa. Oh, my.
You're so disappointed. If Charvarius Ward was your kid, you'd say, Mooney, I love you, kid, but I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. That's the talk you would give to Mooney.
What happened to Charvarius Ward?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I do not know. Teams are
Charvarius Ward or
actively picking on him.
I think they know something. Picking on him. He got targeted 8 times last week, 8 times the week before that, gave up 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think teams know. And the Rams did it week 2. They targeted him 9 times, completed 8 passes. And I think you look at it, Minnesota, O'Connell, that guy comes from the Rams, does he not? And then Cincinnati, Zach Taylor, that guy comes from the Rams. So I think the McVay guys understand you go after Charvarius Ward. You go out. And I don't know why some people give him respect, because it seems like you can have a lot of success going after Charvarius Ward. Also, Isaiah Oliver. The one guy I would kind of think twice about going after in the Niners secondary is Lenore. He doesn't really give up touchdowns. He's solid. But Charvarius Ward hasn't been solid.
No, and that's crazy, because Charvarius Ward, when you look at him, the advanced analytics the last couple of years, is last year in Kansas City and last year as well in San Francisco. And he had some really good numbers. He was one of the better corners, according to some of those advanced analytics. He's completely fallen off a cliff. I don't know. You remember camp, though? He was constantly on the sidelines. He was working through something all of training camp, it seemed, at least when I was there. And I don't know if that continued. Sure. Does he have an injury that is just kind of there for the season? Maybe he's got to deal with it. That could be possible, but
that's true.
Right now,
was it like a heel injury? Wasn't it? They called it like a calf injury. Yeah, something like that. Right before the season started.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but he was working through something, and I feel like maybe that has lingered into the season. He's just dealing with it.
Great point. That's a great point. Well, he needs to step up, or they need to. Too late to replace him. Yeah. Keith Murphy, the Unbeaten, says, "What do you guys think about Warner having to communicate through another coach to get to Wilkes during games? Is that true?"
Well, I mean, he would have to, because the sideline, right? He's not on the sideline, I guess. I don't know.
I think it's time for Wilkes to get on the sideline. Dazza says the D issues seem to coincide with Greenlaw injuries. Shows how underrated he is on the team.
Oh, most certainly. Dre Greenlaw.
He seems like he's been a shell of himself.
Yeah. He came back too early. He should have sat out last week.
Agree. Brother Bob says, Iglet, you hear PP said on your show BP equals dink and dunk. Did he? Did he say that? Maybe. Bobo says, yeah, Mahomes is super regular this year. 6-2 record on pace for 4,800 yards and 32 touchdowns and a 75 QBR. When was the last Niners quarterback to do that? I don't think they've ever had one do that.
I don't. And again, the best he deals with is Kelsey and Pacheco and whatever receiver you want to say. That's as good as it gets. So that's very different than when it was bad for Brock Purdy. He only had Ayuk and Kittle and CMC. Poor Brock. Like, come on, man.
True. Dave Barclay says, does anyone think we beat Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, I think they can.
I mean, at this time, I wouldn't pick the Niners to win that game, but I'd like to see what Jacksonville does this weekend. Joshua Bourne says, okay, Jesse, I would be glad to discuss more about the psych angle and Grant, you two if possible. I think there's much unspoken about this. All right, Josh.
I like it.
I like it, Joshua. James Monk says, JN, I'm such an old school fan. I cried when Jags beat Niners in preseason opener in 1999 as a 14-year-old.
There you go, James.
Francisco says, you guys think Sherm could ever be our DC?
Ooh. I would like to see him at least be a defensive back coach for a year before he would do that. But yeah, I think he could.
I think he wants to go into media, but
yeah, I think
he could. Nicholas Parra says, Philly plays Dallas. Who are we rooting for? Cowboys.
Tie? I don't both
care.
To lose. Is that could they both lose? That'd be great.
I'd like to see Richard Sherman as a head coach, kind of like Dion. I think he would be maybe even better.
Yeah, that's true.
Matt McEwen says corners need to hold coverage for more than 2.5 seconds. Yeah. Ford Tuck's dad says Grandpa Wilkes needs to go. He doesn't fit our team chemistry. We need another high energy sideline guy. He's clearly not bringing another third round comp pick like previous two DC. So cut ties before too late. I do think they need another high energy sideline guy. I'm surprised Kyle didn't realize that.
I actually, you know, what's interesting is I thought Wilkes was going to be that guy a little bit. The way that,
because he was in Carolina.
That's what I'm saying. The way that Panthers fans talked about him and what I had seen from him, I was like, oh, this is, you go from Saleh to D'Amico to him. Yep. You're basically getting the same personality. Yep. Then I found out he was going to be up in the booth. Okay, I don't know how to feel about that, but clearly he's not that guy. I was wrong about that. And that was a big reason why I wanted him here.
Dave Barclay says, does Wilkes last the year?
Oh, man.
He might not last the next week if they lose. Jeremy Price. What up, Big Grant and Jess? I can hear him say it in his voice. Shout out EPA and my condolences to the Adams family as well as Devontae. Sheesh. Lord Voldemort will be retiring.
Man,
I don't know what you're talking about. I never know what Jeremy Price is talking about, but I love it. Huh. Lord Voldemort will be retiring. Okay. Who was that?
I don't know.
I don't even know. Cloud Strife says, what if Patrick Mahomes was in the Niners offense today? They'd be worse. He wouldn't fit, though. He wouldn't fit. Yeah, Shady Luke says, I got players for you. The offensive line run blocking with McCaffrey is the foundation of a West Coast Shanahan offense. Aside from picks, can't put it all on Brock. He's still young as hell.
Oh, I agree with that. Yep. Agree.
Yep. 808 Niners says, if we had Saleh or Ryans, I wouldn't be worried, but the lack of continuity with Wilkes and the D is scary. There's no accountability for anyone on D.